What's cracking YouTube? This is DarkArm619. I have a voice narration for you guys. I decided to start doing these wrestling reviews pretty frequently. I did a rant like a week ago. So I'm just gonna do some reviews. So first thing I'm gonna do is the Extreme Rules pay-per-view. I did not see the pre-show. I was busy doing other things. I didn't really care for the pre-show as much as I wanted to see Cody Rhodes win, because I do like the talent with Cody Rhodes. I knew that the Miz was going to win because the face always wins the pre-show. The first match that I saw was the first match of the actual pay-per-view, was Jericho versus Fandango. This was one of the only two matches that weren't some kind of Extreme Rules, stipulation. It was pretty good. I mean, Jericho had a very early advantage, but Fandango quickly regained control. There was a botched up roll up. I forget who did the roll up, but I remember King even mentioned it, so it wasn't something that it is flagged off. But I think, if I remember correctly, Jericho rolled too far, or maybe that was a little bit later on. I don't remember. I remember that there were a couple of botches in this match. All in all, it was a pretty good match. It wasn't as good as a WrestleMania match. But the ending was really good. Jericho hit a lion salt, but Fandango kicked out, and then Fandango went to the top rope to hit something on Jericho, and Jericho countered into a code breaker and got the 3 count. All in all, I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. It was pretty good, but it wasn't really great. It was if they didn't have the WrestleMania match, it probably would have been a little bit better. Maybe not. I'm not even too sure. But the WrestleMania match was definitely better than this one. The between segments, it was an interview with Sheamus, and this sucked. I mean, most interviews aren't really that good anyway, but this sucked. I gave it a 1 out of 5. Basically, it said that Henry doesn't know Sheamus when he gets extreme. I gave it a 1 out of 5. It didn't make me want to see the match anymore. Next match was Dean Ambrose versus Kofi Kingston for the United States Championship. First thing I want to make note of for anybody that didn't watch the pay-per-view, the Shield was not at ringside. They came out with Ambrose and then walked back into the back. They were not at ringside. Ambrose was on his own, and he was really good. He started off looking almost evil and demonic. I love the face that he had in the beginning. It was a very back and forth match, including right in the beginning, Kofi went for the Trouble in Paradise. Then at some point, my dad and I were watching it together, and he said that I forget what the submission hold was called. I want to say it's called a chicken wing, but I don't remember for sure. Ambrose locked in a submission on Kofi. It was almost like a chokehold, but like on the ground, and he wrapped his legs around Kofi's waist. My dad said that the way that submission is supposed to work is that you use your legs to spread open the opponent's legs to keep him from getting leverage, and it does a lot of damage to him. So I don't know if that was just, I don't know. I mean, I never really took notice of that before. Maybe that's just how they do it, but my dad just made a note of that. As for the actual match, a couple highlights of it was when Kofi hit when Kofi was up on the top rope, Ambrose countered and hit a super tigerplex, which was pretty cool. And then Kofi went for the Trouble in Paradise a little bit later on and hit Ambrose, who was on the apron, and knocked Ambrose off the apron. He probably could have won there, but instead brought Ambrose back in the ring and went for a pin, but Ambrose grabbed the bottom rope. And then Kofi went for another Trouble in Paradise, missed and bounced off the rope, and then Ambrose hit his finisher, which I have no idea what the finisher is called, and got the 3. Ambrose is the new champion. I give that a 4 out of 5 stars. Probably the second best match of the night. It was really back and forth, and I mean, this match had no story behind it. I don't even know why they were wrestling, but as a result, it needed to deliver in the match to make it not feel like a wasted space. And it delivered. It was really, really good. Next match was the Mark Henry versus Sheamus strap match. It was really, really boring. I didn't even take a lot of notes. It's pretty much Sheamus tagged the corner, then Henry stopped him, then Henry tagged 2 corners, and Sheamus stopped him. Then Sheamus was on the apron and hit 3 corners, and he stopped him. And a big note that I had was Mark Henry was in control of almost the entire match, but he seemed so weak because all of a sudden he's hurt after just a couple hits. But Mark Henry wrapped Sheamus around. Carried Sheamus on his shoulders and hit 3 of the things, but so did Sheamus, and then and then they kind of just stopped, and Sheamus had a low blow on Henry with a strap and beat him with a strap. Hit 3 of them. Sheamus used the turnbuckle to beat down Henry on the outside. Henry rolled back in the ring for really what seemed like no reason. It felt forced, which dropped the score even more. And then Sheamus hit 3 of the turnbuckles, went for the 4th. Henry countered. Sheamus countered Henry's counter, hit the bro kick, and hit the 4th for the win. All in all, 2 out of 5. Match sucked. It was really boring. Next was a in-between segment that was really, really good. If it wasn't for the bad camera for this probably would have been the best segment of the entire night. AJ Lee and Caitlyn were taunting each other. Caitlyn said about how... Well, Caitlyn first said that AJ is afraid to face her, which is why they didn't have a match tonight. And the story is that AJ didn't face her because of Ziggler's concussion. AJ said that Caitlyn's admirer is being kept a secret because he's ashamed to be admiring her. So Caitlyn counters with this thing, saying about how the good thing about Dolph's concussion is that AJ isn't the biggest headache in Dolph's life anymore. And then Caitlyn called AJ a Looney Tune, and AJ's like, what? So Caitlyn quotes Porky saying, that's all, folks. So as Caitlyn's walking away, AJ says, well, it makes sense that you quote a pig. And Caitlyn flipped and attacked her, and the official had to separate them and stuff. And it was really funny, especially because at the end, Caitlyn took off her shoe and threw her shoe at AJ. It was great. The whole thing was hysterical. It was really, really good. And this is definitely... There haven't been any good Divas matches at all, but this looks like it could be a good Divas match when it happens. Next match, which I thought was going to be moved to later on, and I personally felt like this was one of the main events, even though Ziggler was taken out of it, was a Jack Swagger Alberto Del Rio I Quit match. I'm going to say right off the bat, I was expecting a great match. I had no idea who was going to win. I was hoping that Swagger would win, because I want to see a Ziggler face turn, and it looked like Ziggler was going to turn face from his promo on the app. And they have a feud already, especially now between Ziggler. When Ziggler was with Vicky and they dropped Swagger, that started up a little feud, but they never really went anywhere with it. And then when Swagger now gave Ziggler the concussion, they have a great feud coming here. I don't know why, so I don't know why going into the match that you would think that Alberto Del Rio would win, aside from the fact that Ziggler is a face. So going into this match, I had no doubt that Swagger was going to win. But the match began with some promo by Zeb Coulter. I couldn't hear the damn thing because this was the only time in the entire pay-per-view that my entire family had to come in and start talking during this freaking promo. It couldn't have been during a match where I could see what's going on. Couldn't have been in between. It was during the only promo that I really wanted to hear. But you know what? It's whatever. The match was very back and forth. Started off with Alberto Del Rio using Jack Swagger using a kendo stick to push Del Rio on a unpadded barricade. And it was but Del Rio quickly countered and threw Swagger into the steps, and it's actually bust open Swagger's arm. I'm gonna say right now, it's a spoiler for later on. This was the only blood that we saw the entire pay-per-view, was when Swagger's arm was busted open from him hitting the steps. Just alone from that, what the fuck? Anyway, so the match is going on. It was a pretty back and forth match. He used a couple weapons. It was I really like this match. A lot of people were really upset with it, so it wasn't as good as what it should have been. But I don't remember any other I Quit matches aside from Miz and John Cena, which sucked so much. So I felt like this was a really good I Quit match. But that's just me. I know that JBL and Cena had an I Quit match that I saw, but I don't remember it at all. I just remember JBL getting hit with the steps and being knocked through the stage or whatever. But I mean, and the Batista Cena I Quit match was pretty crappy. I mean, it was okay, but it wasn't that good. Wasn't it also? Has there been an I Quit match at every Extreme Rules since they started this pay-per-view? I don't know. Somebody leave a comment about that. The Chavo Guerrero Rey Mysterio I Quit match sucked too. This was really the best one that I remember seeing. Anyway, back to the match. It was really back and forth. At one point, Alberto Del Rio was on the apron being beat down by Swagger, and he countered and locked in a cross arm breaker using the ropes and pulling Swagger over the ropes, which looked like it hurt a lot. But Swagger quickly countered it and threw out Alberto out of the ring. And then this is something I love when the talent does is then they engage the crowd. Swagger actually taunted the crowd and basically said, shut up, this is my America, stuff like that. The Swagger stuff. But Alberto Del Rio quickly began to get back into this with a insecurity, and then wrapped Swagger in the ropes and beat down on him with a kendo stick before turning it into like a super backbreaker. This had bad acting again. I'm sorry, backstabber, but this had bad acting again. Swagger pretty much picked up his arm just to get the kendo stick underneath him. The bad acting, lower the score a little bit. But Swagger Swagger eventually countered with a Swagger bomb in the corner and then a power bomb. And when Del Rio wouldn't quit, Swagger locked in the Patriot lock. And now at this point, Del Rio he was in a lot of pain, and Ricardo was begging him to quit, saying, just quit, just throw in the towel. He had the towel in his hand, said, just throw in the towel. Coulter attacked Ricardo, grabbed the towel, threw in the towel for Ricardo, and that was it, and the match was over. Alberto Del Rio was considered to have quit. The winner was Jack Swagger. At this point, I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. It was a great match. Then a referee came down and said, hey, it was Coulter that threw in the towel, showed an instant replay, and the match was restarted. This was really good, except for the fact that it was very cliched. And Alberto Del Rio got off like 2 kicks, including a super kick to Swagger's wrist, locked in a cross arm breaker, and I feel like Swagger quit too quickly. It didn't feel realistic, but of course, very cliched. The decision was reversed, and the face won. It didn't hurt the match. Well, it hurt the match as much as it helped it. It didn't. Net gain was 0. So I still give it a 4.5 out of 5. One thing I want to note: my dad and I were keeping track of the amount of times that they were asked if you want to quit, and they were asked 16 times by the referee. Just saying. Now, as I calm down after one of the main events, they had the in between segment with Ryback on the interview with him, and again it sucked. 1 out of 5. I have no notes from it. I just wrote down that he needs mic skills. It sucked. Next match was a really good one. Team Hell No versus The Shield in a 20-minute tag team match. Now this was very hard for me to keep track of for the notes. So I don't really have a lot of notes, but basically, Team Hell No took a very dominating beginning, and I mean they were beating down The Shield. They had a game plan. They were beating down The Shield, and they were doing it really well. But at one point, at one point though, towards the end of the match, it looked like The Shield was starting to take control. Actually, not even the end. It was more of the middle. And Kane went for a double chokeslam, but was almost countered. But he countered by throwing The Shield out of the ring, which resulted in Bryan doing a suicide dive, which was... Bryan's a great talent, and this is exactly why. He did things like this, suicide dive. He's really good, and I feel like he's very underrated. But Team Hell No controlled The Shield in the corners. It was kind of a cliche, running back and forth between the corners and beating down on the other member of the team. I felt it was kind of cliched, but it was pretty good. Bryan had the no lock pretty early on, and Kane kept Rollins out of the ring. But Reigns didn't have. Rollins countered Kane with a oh my god, I forget what it's called. Basically, take their head and slam off the rope. Got in the ring and broke up the no lock. Kane hit Rollins with a chokeslam after this, but Reigns hit Kane with a spear. Kane eventually got back in and attempted to chokeslam Rollins, but Reigns countered he went to chokeslam Reigns, but Rollins countered for Reigns. Reigns speared Kane, tongue-tied, and pinned Kane, but Bryan broke it for 2. Bryan just did, his 15,000 kicks on Reigns and kicked the crap out of him. But Reigns countered a kick and did a roll-up for 2. Bryan countered Reigns' roll-up for the no-lock, which was really good. But Reigns countered for a double team with Rollins and then put Bryan on his shoulders. Rollins came off the top rope with a leg drop. It was really, really nice maneuver. Probably the second or third best match. This might have been as good, if not better, than the Ambrose Kofi match, especially re-going over it the second time. I'm not too sure. All in all, the Shield had great matches tonight. 4 out of 5, definitely. All around great match. The winner was the Shield new tag team champions. And of course, for every good match, there's a terrible one. Next one was a terrible Randy Orton Big Show Extreme Rules match. The only things that really of note is that Show broke 2 candlesticks over his knee that Orton tried to use. Aside from that, there were 2 chairs that were used to put a ladder on it that Show, I think, threw Orton onto. I don't really know. This was a really, really bad match. Orton began to build momentum, hit the DDT off the top rope, and then taunting to his home crowd, because I guess we were in St. Louis. I didn't know what the pay-per-view was. And then ready for the RKO. Hit the RKO. This was the only point when the match where it kind of became exciting. He hit the RKO. Big Show kicked out. So Orton beat down Show with a chair. Show countered with a spear. And then Orton countered Big Show with an RKO afterwards on the chair. And probably could have won it there, but the fans were starting to cheer punt. And being in his hometown, Orton backed up and punted the Big Show to get the 3 count. The match was very slow, unbearably cliched. I give it 2.5 out of 5. It's just really boring. Speaking of boring matches, next we have the second main event, Ryback versus John Cena for the WWE Championship. And last man standing. The beginning was nothing but Ryback beating the shit out of John Cena in a very slow-paced and boring match. So freaking unbearably boring. But eventually, after 20 minutes or 15 minutes or something like that, Ryback brought a table in the ring and did a follow-away slam on Cena through the table. Cena countered a powerbomb by Ryback with his own powerbomb, and then Ryback countered Cena into another powerbomb, but Cena countered into the STF. Cena grabbed the table. Ryback went for a shell shock, but Cena countered and aided Ryback through the table. And then Ryback countered Cena on the top ropes for a shell shock. They kind of got into an outside spill. Cena speared Ryback through the table, through the barricade. And finally, the match, after what felt like 3 hours, the match finally got good. They were in the audience. They started to really beat down on each other. Ryback even grabbed one of the doors for the hockey ring that come off and smashed Cena in the head with it. And when Cena was down, Ryback was yelling at a Cena fan. It was actually kind of good. It kind of, I don't like Ryback at all. I hate his gimmick, but at least the talent show that it's just a bad gimmick, I guess. At least the talent show that he's good, he's decent, he's engaging with the fans. Cena locked Ryback into a sleeper, and it looked like maybe this was going to be it, but of course it wasn't. Cena eventually got Ryback onto a table that was in the crowd, then jumped off a higher tier through the table. But Ryback got back up. Cena grabbed a fire extinguisher, blasted him a couple times with a fire extinguisher, hit him in the head with a fire extinguisher, and then at this point they were on the stage. Cena went for the attitude adjustment, and it looked like he was an attitude adjustment right back on the stage. And at this point, I mean, I didn't have a lot of expectations in the match. I knew that Cena was going to retain the title going into it. I had a spoiler. I figured at this point, you know, attitude adjustment on the stage. If Ryback quits, I'm sorry, if Ryback can't get back up, it's fine. And, you know, people understand. He took an attitude adjustment on the stage. Comes out looking strong. Managed to actually do something a little bit better. And Ryback countered the attitude adjustment and speared Cena through the Extreme Rules sign. And as a result, nobody won the match. It kind of just flagged off the match. The way that it ended, though, Ryback should have won the match. I mean, Ryback was able to walk. He walked out. Cena was carried out on a stretcher. So when you think about the match, last man standing. Ryback was standing. Ryback walked out. I mean, yes, he kind of needed a little bit of assistance. The fact of the matter is, he walked out. He was standing. He survived. But all in all, no contest. Cena retains. I give it a 3.5 out of 5. It would have been a lot higher if not for the very beginning. The really shitty slow match. A lot of people are calling this the best match of the night. And again, if it wasn't like an hour and a half of just freaking beating down on Cena and then waiting until like freaking 8 for him to get back up because he was trying to show that Ryback's actually so powerful, even though they've kind of made him into a fucking pussy for the last 4 weeks. At least they made Cena seem. They made Ryback seem powerful. But the beginning was so slow, it dropped the rating a lot for me. I give it a 3.5 out of 5. If not for that beginning, like I said, it probably would have actually beaten the I Quit match. Next match, Triple H versus Brock Lesnar in Steel Cage. Started off very good. Triple H actually attacked Lesnar before the match even began, before they even got in the cage. And ended up throwing Lesnar into the cage. They went for a very early pedigree, which Lesnar quickly countered and threw Triple H in the cage and attempted to continue throwing Triple H into the cage, but Triple H countered. Then Lesnar countered, power slammed Triple H into the cage. And then Lesnar went for a high knee and missed and hit his knee on the cage. To his credit, the knee did bruise up. It looked like a serious injury, like it might have been a serious problem. Heyman wanted the door open, but Triple H chop blocked Lesnar's injured knee and began to beat down on the knee. From this point on, it was pretty much Triple H was just in complete control. And Lesnar was like freaking almost crying. I mean, he sounded like such a wuss. I mean, this is not Brock Lesnar. He didn't sound like a monster. He sounded like a loser. You know, like a crybaby. But Heyman tossed Lesnar a chair. And Lesnar hit the F5 on one leg before Heyman tossed him the chair, and then went for another F5 on the chair. But Lesnar's leg buckled, allowing Triple H to recover. And with the chair, Triple H smashed Lesnar in the knee with the chair, and immediately, I don't know why no one else said this, because I'm on a Facebook chat for the pay-per-view. I don't know why no one else said this. The first thing I thought of was, I used to be an adventurer like you, and then I took a chair to the knee. I don't know why no one else thought this. Triple H hit a figure 4 leg lock on Lesnar, which from what I heard was better than the Miz's figure 4, but it was supposed to really beat the hell out of Lesnar. And Heyman is such an idiot. He's like, break it, Brock, break it. No shit, Heyman. What do you think you're gonna try and do? But Lesnar eventually broke it and kind of ran from Triple H, tried to climb out through the top, and Triple H countered him, threw him down, and grabbed a hidden sledgehammer that was, hidden inside the steel. It was a silver sledgehammer, so it blended in. It was hidden inside the steel, and when he tried to use it on Triple H on Lesnar, Lesnar countered, grabbed the sledgehammer and tried to use it on Triple H, but Triple H locked him into a sharpshooter. Heyman got in the ring, but Triple H pedigreed both Heyman and Lesnar. And he prepped the sledgehammer. Heyman low blowed Triple H. And then Lesnar hit Triple H with a sledgehammer. Give me one reason, after taking a sledgehammer to the skull, why Triple H was not busted open. Give me one reason. There is none. Actually, there is one reason. because it's fucking PG. But Lesnar hit the F5, got the 3. Match fucking sucked. Massive disappointment. There were people saying that the match was going to be turned in, I'm sorry, that the pay-per-view was TV 14. It wasn't. It was fucking PG. It sucked. This feud does not work in PG. This would have been a great feud 8 years ago. This would have been an oh my god feud 8 years ago. It does not work in PG. It was so unbearably slow and boring and just underwhelming. It needed so much more. I hope that this is the end of Brock Lesnar and Triple H, because this had a lot of potential, and it fucked up. It was such a terrible, terrible feud because of the PG rating. I don't even blame the talent. They did what they could. It's fucking PG. I mean, when you take a sledgehammer to the skull, there's no reason you shouldn't be busted open. But Triple H kind of wobbled out. It looked like this. I'll give it this. It looked like this might be the defining end of Triple H's career, because Lesnar kind of ran out quickly, almost like how Cena did with The Rock. Lesnar ran out quickly, and Triple H was kind of in the ring for a little bit. I mean, he was playing off like he was hurt, but he was kind of like sitting up a little bit, and he's kind of looking at the crowd before walking out. I think he was helped out by the referee, but it looked like this might have been Triple H's defining moment, which will give it a little bit higher, especially if this is Triple H's last match. This was his last match. It's kind of a shame that it was a 2.5 out of 5 match, but I'll give it a 3 if it was his last match, because it kind of had that feeling like maybe he's done. You know, maybe this was just the final match for Triple H. This was the last in his career. I wouldn't be surprised to see him back at WrestleMania 30, maybe even back at SummerSlam. But this looked like it might have been the defining factor. So, overall, it was a really lackluster pay-per-view. If you missed it, you didn't miss. I mean, if you missed it, you missed 3 good matches and a bunch of shitty ones. I would say the most dominating thing to take home. Sorry, 3 good matches, a decent one, and a couple of really shitty ones. But anyway, if you want anything to take home from it, the Shield dominated. That's pretty much all that you have to know. If anything, this pay-per-view was about the Shield. They won everything. They kind of just proved that they are, the still dominating force. What they're going to do with this, I don't know. I'm pretty sure that we're going to see Ryback Cena at Payback. They had a promo for Payback with Randy Orton saying Payback's a bitch. I'm thinking maybe Orton versus Sheamus, which would probably lead for the Orton heel turn. I want to see that. Both men won tonight. I want to see the match unless they promote it well. I want to see a fucking heel turn from Orton. He's been pushing it himself. I want to see a fucking heel turn. Unfortunately, I don't know if I said it earlier, I won't be able to watch Raw tonight. I have to work tonight. Probably watch it tomorrow or the day after and put up my thoughts of it. It's probably at the latest Wednesday night, Thursday. So thanks for watching. Rate, comment, sub, and see you guys soon. Peace out, YouTube.